industrial brands right now they have a plethora of different challenges they're trying to handle. They've got the supply chain, they have labor shortages, the cost of supplies are going up. How can they continue to grow into the future? This is why I'm excited about my guest today, Simone Bonino, who is the VP of Business Development for the Manufacturing Solutions of Altair, is going to help us understand how we can grow into the future. But before we get started, my name is Donna Peterson, and you are listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence podcast. I go all over the world speaking with business leaders, marketing directors about what is working, what's not, and what they see for the future, because we all know this landscape is changing very quickly. Good morning, Simone. How are you today?
Good morning, Donna. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Oh, good. Excellent. I thought you would be the perfect guest for this because I work with so many manufacturing clients and they have these challenges. And because you are in marketing and now you're in business development, this is why I thought you could give us some real insight on how these companies can grow.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope so. Of course, what I can give is just my vision, but I really hope that the strategy that I applied over the past 30 years can be useful for others as well.
Oh, I definitely think it will be. So my first question for you is reflecting on your experiences. What key strategies have you found to be more effective in developing and delivering that global go-to-market plan for manufacturing solutions?
So thank you. Great question, Donna. For me, it really goes down to three basic points. The first one, know your market, do your due diligence and understanding the pains that your customers are facing, right? And look at the areas where the ROIs can be more significant. Also, understand how the market is evolving and what the trends that your customers are looking at and how they are changing.
Yes.
And the second point is also know your solutions. Of course, it can sound very obvious, but oftentimes we forget to clearly identify our solutions USP and how they address these pains that I was just talking about, and really the ones that brings the largest ROIs to the customer. Knowing your products and your solutions doesn't necessarily means becoming a technical expert. Quite the opposite. Understanding the business value that a solution brings is much more important than knowing all the nitty-gritty functionalities, particularly, of course, in a B2B environment.
Yes.
And last but not least, the third point is focus. Of course, there are two sides of being focused. One is that the good old spray and pray strategy doesn't really work anymore. It might still work in some cases, but it's much more effective if you gather reliable data, identify the best beachheads to land onto, and clearly define the personas you are targeting.
Yeah.
And second, always define a very detailed strategy. Create your ideal workflow that can be replicated and scaled, and stick with it as execute it to the end.
Yeah. Every single one of those, I think you saw me, I was shaking my head like one of those little dogs in the back of the car because I agree with everything you're saying. It starts with the research. And a lot of companies like to jump in and they just want to market. They say, get it out there, get it out there. But I'm a big proponent. Stop. Do that research first before you start to go out there. And like you said, really know what products and services are the ones your clients want. I have worked with clients where maybe they had some in the automotive and some in the energy, and then they realized the energy sector wasn't really interested in what they had. So then they concentrated more on the automotive, and they were able to grow into the future because now they were concentrating on that one specific area instead of trying to all these different industries.
Exactly. And like they say, don't try to change the world one step at a time if you want, right? And really focus on what you identify as the perfect entry point for your solution.
I see that a lot of companies like to switch up very quickly, and they need to let it, especially I think in this industrial space, they need to let the marketing sit for a bit. They need to let it play out, because I think the part a lot of companies don't concentrate on is the branding. When you have good marketing and good branding, that will last decades into the future.
That's right. And honestly, like I speak for our experience as a company, we have actually put a lot of attention over the past 5 years in particular on our branding. And really, when you look at technology companies, you focus always a lot on the technology first, but establishing your brand is becoming really key to succeed.
It is. That's how you stand out from the competition, because there is so much competition out there. Like you said, you can't just send out one big promotion and get all the sales that you wanted. Years ago, yeah, companies did that and it worked, but it won't work now.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah.
So my second question for you is, can you share any insights into how you have successfully differentiate Altair's manufacturing solution in such a competitive market?
Yeah, I think what we were just talking about. Of course, I started looking at the market, understanding my competition, but most importantly, identifying these pains that my customers were facing now. And in product design and manufacturing, in the market I deal with, I think we can all agree on at least three of these challenges. The first one is really the talent challenge. And
yes,
that became really important, of course, after the pandemic with all these hybrid working. And that really brought the necessity to train for our customers, to train their workforce quickly and effectively. And the answer that, of course, we could give as a company is a software solution that is very intuitive and very easy to learn, while also offering more than just clicks and functionalities, but really providing answers, providing a tool that helps making decisions quickly, sometimes actually leveraging AI and machine learning to make sense of this data, right?
Yes.
And then I just mentioned data. The other need that is becoming clear to our customers is really the transition to smart factory, the industrial metaverse, or what in general is called the digital transformation.
Yeah.
And of course, we believe that we can make really a difference for our customer, because we are able to combine and what we say converge these different aspects, design and engineering, HPC and data analytics, all together, as I was saying, helping customers making sense of this new world and bringing them through this transformation.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I was just going to say, I saw that at FabTech last year, where I went around and I spoke to different manufacturers, and they have these pieces of equipment, but they were trying to make all the equipment easier to use. And then they were saying, because they're going to be so easy to use, they may be able to get one person to man 3 machines, thus helping them out with that labor shortage.
And it's making them easy to use, but also making these tools more intelligent.
Yes.
We want the operator to be able to really collect answers and very quickly. So that's where, for instance, manufacturing companies are starting implementing digital twins, right? Where very quickly in real time, they can actually gather information and corrective answers, corrective actions, address any issue that they might have during production. And that's where really the combination of simulation and the real-time data can help.
Yeah, I think when we met at the PMA's Industry 4.0 conference, and we were talking then about preventative, how these pieces of equipment can tell people, hey, it's slowing down, it's not working as efficiently as possible, and even go as specific to point out it's this part that you need to do. Because yes, you have labor shortages, but you also don't want the people that you have sitting there doing nothing because pieces of equipment are down. And this will help them be more efficient.
And the other point that goes back, if you want, ease of use, is the fact that you still need to speak the language of the workshop, right? You don't have data scientists in the workshop. So you really need, and that's what we do as the software vendors, to translate that and make it available to the engineers, to the production managers, and so on.
To speak in their tone so that they can pick it up quickly and utilize the information right away.
Correct.
It's funny, I was talking to, I forgot what publication it was, and I'm like, we're always talking about leaders in a space, but I think it's important to educate all levels within a company. So even someone who's joining your company for the first time, they should be getting out there and understanding the industry and what's available. Because sometimes if you bring in those entry-level people, they'll also feel valued and that you care about their opinion, but then they'll stay with you and they can help your company grow with different ideas that they might have.
Yeah, and as a software company, for the same reason, we are also paying a lot of attention these days to educational market, where, of course, we don't make any money, but we really want to educate the next generation of engineers, starting really from the high school, from the STEM. We are involved, for instance, with the first robotics competition, which is a great way to apply all these ideas of digital transformation. And it's amazing how these young kids really in high school, they are able to build very complex machines.
And when you said education, before we talked about branding, what a great way for Altair to work on their branding through education. So you're not promoting anything, you're offering value, which sets you up as a thought leader in the space. And like you said, these students in high school, if they go into this industry, what do you think they'll remember? What company do you think they'll remember? It's the one that they studied all the materials on.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely correct.
Yes, it's all about building relationships. And it starts, like you said, as early as high school, as you catch these people, as they start to go into these industries. And manufacturing, you're going to see, I think, more people going into that space because it opens up a new side for people. It gives them some creative. I met some women who were in welding and they just talked about how they originally went to school thinking they were going to do cooking and different things, but they ended up in welding and loved it. They loved the industry as a whole. And you need to get that excitement back in the young people so that they want to join these companies.
And there are aspects, look, for instance, at the decarbonization, electrification. These are really trends that we all should care about, but particularly the younger generation, they are very sensible to these topics. And of course, when you, as a vendor, present a solution that can actually address some of these challenges, for instance, when we talk about decarbonization, as a software vendor, we talk about lightweighting, and generative design, and utilizing different kind of materials. So you really make a connection between a global trend and your engineering studies.
Yes, I totally agree. So my next question for you is, when you were the vice president of products marketing, I believe it was, What innovative content creation or multimedia strategies did you find to be most effective for your specific target audience?
So that goes back a few years, but I think my suggestion is still quite current. And what I found at the time very effective is really to create solution explainers. And what we have been doing now a number of years is either to use CGI, computer-generated animations, or infographics style ones. And the challenge particularly when you are treating highly technical subjects, like, let's say, in our world, computational fluid dynamics or electromagnetism, is really to address the business value in a way that the executive suite would relate to it, while still being truthful to the physics that you are describing. And if you look, just as an example, to stick with the computational fluid dynamics and electromagnetism that I was talking about, if you look at the simulation results, they tend to be quite dry. And of course, for the technical audience, they say everything, but really, if you place them in context in these explainers, you are really able to deliver the message to a less technical audience.
Yeah.
And just the little detail that you need to pay attention to is, which is to me the most important one, keep this artistic representation, if you want, still truthful. Because otherwise you might get the reaction, hey, you're just giving me some marketing fluff, but this is not real. So you really need to get that balance.
That's a very good point. You've got to be able to speak to your audience in a way that will resonate with them, but you do have to be authentic in your messaging and truthful. And that's where before, when we were talking about competitors, I sometimes say to companies, you really don't have a competitor. When you really whittle it down about your company, your mission, your objective, no one is like you. So get that out in the marketplace. Show how come you're different and be authentic with it. Have that authentic voice out there.
Correct. Today, we see that there are a lot of ways to create content. And for instance, if you look at all the AI tools that are there either for digital creation of images and videos, and that's a great help, but it's also a great challenge, right?
Yes.
Because you might be tempted to be less authentic, but instead you need to leverage these tools while still be truthful.
Yep. Yeah. With all the AI, I tell people I like to use it as a baseline, but then you do have to put your uniqueness to it to make you stand out. Otherwise, if everyone, like you said, it's so easy to use what AI gives us because it's done. But if you put it out there, then you're just like everybody else.
Yep. Absolutely.
And your company's not going to grow. It's all going to come down to just price all the time. And when you, like you said, with the educational information, you're trying to develop those relationships that it won't be price. People will hear the name and they'll say, oh, I trust them. They've been in the industry for years. I'm going to buy from them.
Yeah, and again, you need to do something. The exercise that we always did in the past is, hey, can you replace in this statement, in this image, can you replace our name with a competitor's name? Because if you can do that, probably you didn't do a good job at making yourself unique, right?
Yeah. I love that. That's such a great idea. I've never heard that before. Take your name out. Could you put a competitor there? And if you can, you're right. You're not being unique. Now you just got to try to shout louder. And that doesn't work. I do feel people are getting smarter when it comes to marketing. They're able to determine when companies are not being fully authentic. And this is the reason why I love these podcasts that I have with people, because this is not scripted. We go out there, people are going to see your authentic voice, your philosophy, and there's no way this is AI because they're seeing us actually talk. Unless you're a robot and I don't know it.
Now, of course, there are a lot of conversations about deep fakes and even videos. Yeah, we don't want to go there.
Yeah, no, my last question I had for you, I almost feel like we've covered it because I wanted to know when you were in that role of overseeing global marketing activities at Highworks, what collaborative approaches did you find to be most effective? Because we all know you need that cohesive strategy. Was there one that stood out for you?
Clearly, yeah, we spoke about authenticity,
Yes.
but I think another aspect, and it's actually very deep into our company's values, is to always communicate openly and broadly. Open and broad communication doesn't mean total chaos and anarchy. Of course, you still need to put in place processes so that you can collaborate more effective, but you shouldn't be afraid to share information and to eliminate these silos that tend to exist between, let's say, marketing and sales or product development.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and it doesn't matter whether you are dealing with a global environment like I was, or a more local reality, diversity should always be embraced as an enrichment. And it can be cultural diversity, racial diversity, or gender diversity, but it always provides a different perspective, right?
Yes.
Of course, that also means that we need to be mindful and respectful of these diversities and keep an open mind and really keep yourself curious and with a design to learn from these different realities. So if you bring these things all together, it really becomes an obvious how to convey this message globally in a cohesive and meaningful manner.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you talk about that. I think of it even just outside of marketing sales. Yes, they need to talk. And I still can't believe there's companies operating with separate silos within their companies. But I've been amazed at some of the trade shows I go to, how willing companies are to sit down with each other and talk about, oh, what are you doing with your marketing? What's working? What's not? Are you utilizing these tools? It's almost as if everybody is willing to help each other, which I love. I think we're here on this earth to inspire success in everyone we come across. And so that's nice that we're all starting to collaborate, because years ago, it wasn't like that. Even myself as a leader, I thought, okay, what I say, this is the way we're going. And I really didn't listen to people below me about direction we should go. And that was such an error on my part. I should have been more open at a younger age, but I'm there now.
Right. It's never too late.
Never too late. But I think you're right. It's the collaboration within the departments of your company, but also collaboration with other companies or associations out there where you can then turn around and help each other grow.
Yeah, and again, keeping this open-minded mindset so that you always learn from the different entities that are interactive with.
Yes. One of my favorite quotes is from Albert Einstein. And he says, when you stop learning, you start dying. And I always keep that kind of in the back of my mind. Okay, what else can you learn now? There's got to be something else. So
Absolutely.
Simone, I really thank you very much for your time today. I found, your answers to be helpful in helping manufacturers sustain that growth into the future, which I think they need at this point.
Thank you very much, Donna. It was a pleasure to be your guest, and I really enjoyed my time here. So thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye.